So in 2018, my luck finally began to change. My doctor, Dr. Stephen Barner, recommended two new procedures to me, and I decided to go forwards with them. So on the 4th of June 2018, I had a spinal biacuoplasty and stem cell treatment in my L4, L5 disc. And the procedures went well. It gave me about 7 months pain-free. Unfortunately, my pain then returned, but at a more manageable level. Just before this surgery, I also had the opportunity to meet with a friend of my father's, Mr. George Richardson, who's an entrepreneur and international GT3 driver. And I started to tell him my story and tell him about how I had this passion for racing, and I decided, screw it. If this is the thing that I love, why am I not doing it? This is what I want to be doing with my life. And so he told me about how he'd gotten into the sport, and we started to talk about different ways that I could get into it and what the options were. And we settled on esports as the only cost-effective option. And so I threw myself into the esports world. And sim racing was brilliant for me in that it gave me something I could compete with again. That competitive motivation that I hadn't had since I'd last skated was back. And even though it was only esports, it wasn't the same as anything I'd done before. It wasn't the same as skating. It was still something that I could output that competitive motivation into. And finally I could challenge myself, I could compete, I could do something. So I threw myself into the sim racing world. And with the combination of my back feeling better and the resultant ability to go out and start to live my life again, and also combined with this new challenge, I started to drag myself out of my depression. And it took a long time. So I set this goal of working my way up the R Factor 2 sim racing ladder. And so I did that by writing to hundreds of teams, step by step, asking, can I race with you? Can I practice with you? Can I just watch and study you? Just learning as much as I can and slowly working my way up the R Factor 2 sim racing ladder until one day I reached the highest rungs of sim racing in R Factor 2, and I got the opportunity to show my skills in the real world.